With just over 4 million in population, Croatia is the 128th largest population in the world. Croatia is also a country with 10 UNESCO World Heritage Sites and 15 cultural masterpieces, ranking 4th in the world. But it's not history that we're here to see tonight, it's the future we're bothered about, as the historic moment happens in the Club 100 BUKC GT Sport Championship. It's the 3rd season and we now have 2 lobbies, with a Premier and a Clubman class. Lobby 2, or Clubman class, has a lot of new faces to the series, looking at the future for knocking Ryan Sundahl off his perch after 2 successive titles in the previous seasons. And it's a future result which we're looking for tonight here in Croatia itself at Dragon Trail Gardens. Thank you for joining us, and I will be taking you through everything you need to know about this series as we currently watch the drivers practicing ready for tonight's races. We're currently watching one of our newcomers on track, and I will be running you through the teams and drivers very shortly. But first, a little bit about the format. If you haven't joined us before, this will all be new to you, but if you have joined us before, most of it will be pretty much the same as previous seasons. So we'll start with how the races will line up. We will have a 10-minute qualifying around this Croatian circuit of Dragon Trail, and we will also have a 20-minute race after that qualifying session. Then there'll be a 10-minute break, and then we'll go into our feature race, which is half an hour long, of a reverse grid of the previous race result, but that will be round the circuit of Monza with times-free tyre wear as well for the drivers to contest with. As we currently see the times coming up on the left from practice, there'll be a few names you recognise from last year who have decided to drop down into this lobby, and a lot of new names. So let's start with looking at the teams and drivers involved. First of all, we have Team Sonic, who will have, if I can find him on the track, just give me a second. There we are. It's the team in blue of Tom Fox, who is Tamworth Fox on your screens, and Javier Gorstini Turner. I hope I've got that right. I'm sure you'll let me know if I haven't. And he will be under Silver Arrow. So he is currently quickest in these Mazdas. You can see the colours aren't quite the same, but that's the choice of the drivers, as long as their base colour for their design is that colour, and it'll be same in the second race. But what I forgot to tell you is the second race is in different cars, but I'll come to that in the meanwhile. Looking at the current times, that team is certainly one to watch. We're currently running first and second in the practice session. In Team Pink, who are Too Fat Too Furious, I forgot to say Team Blue is Team Sonic. Team Fat Too Furious is here HWN97, who is Harry Neal, the former Club 100 Clubman champion, so it's quite ironic that he's back in the Clubman class tonight. And he will be joined by Tim Maragon, who is currently maybe in the pits, so I will find. He's not. Is he currently out on track? Yes, he is. He's there with PB Racing. So when I say I will try and let you know who is who throughout racing, but you can always pick the driver you want from his PSN name above the car. Bit of a flash of lights from Tim there. We also have 2 former names from the lobbies from last season, shall we say. We have the Daniel Apt substitutes, who is here, our Krembe, who is Eric Mignon, everyone's favourite Belgium, and Alex Wilmot, who joined the series last year. Certainly did no disgrace in how he got on last year, and we'll be looking to improve on that. And I believe Alex is on the controller. Not 100% sure whether that's the same this year, but he was last year. Looking at the next team, we have, if I can find him, there is the host of this lobby, and currently in the pits in last place, but for the Orange Arrows squad, George Turner, and he will be joined by Ollie Smith, who is the fastest pint. I don't know if that's a hint towards BUKC or any Jaeger Club 100 jokes, but there he is in 5th place currently, Ollie Smith, who will be in the Orange Arrow squad. Now, Cameron Briggs and Toby Nichols are in the Team Black cars, but they haven't left me with a name for the team, so we'll just have to call them Team Black for now. That will change in the championship. Those drivers are both newish to Club 100. Toby's done BUKC before, and Cameron, I believe, is joining the new Club 100 Experience Championship this season. And finally, last but not least is the best team name I think I've heard for a long time, Banana Gymkhana. Certainly fans of Ken Block here, and it's 2 names that are really known to the Club 100 paddock. It will be Jay Elliott, who is there currently off the track. That's bad timing to find you, isn't it, Jay? And Peter Harris, who I believe will be wasn't in 9th, he's in 11th. There he is with his hazards on in the pits, and that is an experienced squad. So unlike last year, where we had a very good feeling of who was going to do well and how the racing was going to pan out, this season I have no idea. I haven't seen the newcomers testing. I know some of them have been, but I don't really know a huge amount about their GT Sport pedigree. I know a bit more about them on track. For example, Tom Fox, who's also in the pits there, having a pit stop actually, who was the BUKC champion was he last year with Coventry maybe? Not 100% sure with that, but I'm sure he'll let me know. But Harry Neal, the Club 100 Clubman champion, the last Clubman, no, not the last Clubman champion, he was the one before that, just before James Taylor won it. You know, we've got plenty of names here to follow, and it'll be interesting to see how these drivers grow as they go along. I can see Alex Wilmot just asked him when we're starting. We should be starting at 9 o'clock for the qualifying session, so it will be very soon. There we go. So if you have any questions about the series, want to leave any comments, and you like what you've seen, please like the stream we've got on now. I can see your chat at this moment in time. I can see Steve Hicks saying, is Jaino racing tonight? He's my hero. He's everybody's hero, Hicksy. And I will give a shout out to your Club 100 iRacing Championship in due course. And hello there to Max Bird, it looks like, tuning in there. Hello Max, thanks for joining us, and good luck to Cam. So thanks for joining us. Feel free to stay with the stream. like and subscribe to the channel, and you'll be able to get as many of these races brought to you every Tuesday night for the next 4 weeks, where this lobby will be contesting for 3 promotion places into the top lobby, where there'll be 3 relegation places. Lobby 1 is currently live, and it's over on the DDM Double Dash Motorsport Media channel with Andrew Maffer, your regular Club 100 and BUKC commentator. But you don't want to see that. You want to stay with us, don't you? So stick with us. Any questions, any queries, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll head off into this qualifying session. And as he was quite quick in the practice session, or I've been told he is quite quick, we'll go with Toby for a lap of this circuit. We'll go on board the bonnet cam as he comes through the final corner, and we head across the start finish straight here at Dragon Trail Gardens. Comes across the grid down to turn 1, hard braking into it. It's quite fast speed, a double right-hander here. You don't want to go too wide like the car in front has already, and just get the apex of the second one is most important. To get on the power early and head down this hill under the bridge, exactly like Toby has done. Now we have 4 corners in quick succession here. You need to keep speed up without understeering off onto that red bit on the outside. A couple of shifts down to 3rd gear for the second 2 there by Toby. Runs out nicely wide onto the curb, up over hill into this right-hander. Now you have to carry as much speed as possible through all of these S-bends, the back and forward. Keeping it in 3rd gear was an interesting tactic there by Toby. Heads under the bridge into one of the slowest corners on this circuit, a tight hairpin right. Takes it down to 2nd gear, slides it in, just slightly misses the apex, but gets a good run out. The track's nice and wide around this circuit in Croatia, and it's to head down towards the free apex chicane at the end of this long straight. Brakes about 80 metres before the corner, just misses that sausage curb on the left hand side, rides the second one, runs a little bit wide. That won't be a perfect lap there by Toby, but good all the same. And then it's just throw it in and hope it grips. A couple of different lines there being used in the final corner in this qualifying session, and we head across the start finish line, and we will see how those times have appeared. Harry goes with a 139.7 and it's a 140.0 for Toby, but currently pole position is in the hands of R4M Shadow Arrow, who, you'll have to give me time to get used to people's names, but that is Javier, who's currently took provisional pole position with teammate Tom Fox close behind. 3rd is Harry Neal, and Toby runs wide and just catches it nicely there to sit in 4th place, but this will obviously be a slower lap. So there is Javier. As you can see, Max Bird asking when the GT race is on. GTs will be on in about half an hour. That will be the reverse grid race in the group GR3 cars, in the group 3 cars, and there's an interesting mix of cars actually in there, because teammates do not have to use the same type of car as long as the colours are similar. So it'd be very interesting to see how they get on with that. But yes, that will be in roughly about half an hour's time. So they head round for the end of their second lap. Or penalty coming up there for Javier, so that ruins his first lap. So will this give Tom Fox a chance to take provisional pole away from his teammate? He's getting a lovely shift change down the straight. Will he be able to take pole position? There's a car off in the wall down the straight, which is a bit weird, and yes he does. Tom Fox moves up with a 38.7 into provisional pole position, takes it away from his teammate. Jaino, the experienced person in this lobby, along with Eric and Peter Harris. All three have done every single race or every single season we have raced in this GT Sport series of races with Club 100 seasons, shall we call it. And Jay Elliott actually joined me in the commentary box for a few races last season. It was a pleasure to speak to him during the races, but he is back on track and now back up into third, but only 9 thousandths ahead of Harry Neal, who's having his debut in the GT Sport series here tonight, and that is a great start to start up in 4th place. Now remember, qualifying all important for that first race, but the same amount of points are available for the second race, which is a reverse grid one. So what you won't want to do is completely spoil your chances of coming through the field if the field is really close, which obviously this is the first time they've all been on track together, so we don't really know. This is all a bit of guesswork. I can see some support coming in from Matt Hale for Super George Turner. George currently a little bit downfield. We'll check in with him in a minute. Harry doesn't go any quicker. Let's just see where George is. There he is in 11th place currently on a 142.1, 8 tenths off the next driver, but currently coming across the line. Will he improve his lap time this time by? Yes, he does. No change in position, but certainly improves his lap time. And that is an improvement there for the fastest pint, who is, I'm sorry about this, trying to get the names right, but that is Ollie Smith, who has moved up into 3rd place. A great lap there, only half a second off Tom Fox in pole position. And PB Racing 227 improves his time, who is Tim Maragon. Now, a little bit about Tim. Tim had an issue with his pedals this morning and was trying to fix them and hasn't quite got them fixed in time, so I believe he is on the controller tonight. We'll just try and find him on circuit. There he is on the controller, so learning on the spot here with the controller, so expect him to improve as the night goes on. I'm not 100% sure whether he's flashing his lights because he's on the screen or flashing his lights because he keeps slipping onto a button, because it's very easy to do on the controller. So Tim doing a great job at the moment, learning on the spot. But we head back. There is Tom Fox coming round to complete another lap. Can he extend his lead on pole position? He looked a bit scruffy on the exit of that corner there, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. Harry Neal improves his time and moves ahead of Jay Elliott into 4th place. Toby improves, stays 6th, and it's an improvement by Tom Fox up to a 38.791. So Tom Fox staking his claim in this championship very early on, but his teammate only a couple of a tenth and a half behind. And let's have a look back. There is Eric Mignon, who has improved his time, sitting in 10th place at the moment. Got some experienced runners a bit further downfield. Peter Harris, Alex Wilmot and Eric Mignon in 8th, 9th and 10th place. Further improvement there by Tim, which is great to see. But here we are with Eric Mignon, everyone's favourite Belgian, sitting there in the Mazda trying to improve his time. It's great to see so many of you starting to tune in here, and that's improvement again by Javier, but he's just not quite close enough. 35 thousandths of a second off Tom Fox, and this will be his last chance, so we'll stick with Javier because he looks like the best opportunity to take the position away, the pole position away from Tom Fox. Jay Elliott is now in the pit, so that's the end of his session. He won't get another lap in, but anybody crossing the line now will be finishing their chances of going quicker. We're just going to quickly flip through. There's a few drivers pulling in. Peter Harris has finished his session, Alex Wilmot has finished his, and Tom Fox goes even quicker with 38.5. so can Javier get any closer to Tom and steal away his pole position. There's an improvement there by Cameron. Cameron moves up into 3rd place. That's sort of come almost out of nowhere. No disrespect to Cameron, but we haven't seen him throughout this qualifying session. And up into P3, sitting about 7/10 off the pole position. That's a great lap there by Cameron. And compared to the other lobby, where we have got some very quick drivers, including Super GT, Steve Brown, and reigning double champion Ryan Sandel, Nathan Maxman, people like that from last season. As across the line comes Javier, no improvement there, so it will be a Team Sonic front row, but not quite how Javier would have wanted it. But they are both 5/10 clear of the field, so a true statement set down there by the team. There is also 4th place for Ollie Smith looking there, so that is a great lap by him. We're just seeing if anybody else is finishing. I don't think they are, so your pole position holder will be Tom Fox, followed by Javier. 3rd place for Cameron Briggs, 4th for Ollie Smith, 5th for Harry Neal, 6th for Jay Elliott, Toby Nichols in 7th, Peter Harris in 8th, Alex Wilmot in 9th, and rounding out your top 10 will be Eric Mignon. There's your grid. Eric Mignon in 10th, George Turner 11th, and Tim Maragon in 12th. So we're just waiting for the lights to come on. We'll go on board with, if we can go on board. For some reason it's not letting me. There we go, we're on board with Tom Fox as he gets off the line, and it's away we go. Great start throughout the field. I think everybody has got away, and it's a drag race to the line. Javier's got a great start, and he's trying to look around the outside of Tom Fox. He's not going to do that. He goes for the cut back underneath. The 2 teammates fighting hard, side by side out the corner. We've got a couple in the wall there. One car almost spinning out. But we do have a battle for the lead between the two teammates, and they've settled down slightly, and they're already pulling a gap back to the fast starting Harry Neal, who jumped up into 3rd place, but Jay Elliott has just crept through at the end of the back straight. We've got Toby in 4th. Harry Neal has disappeared. We will have a look back if we can find him and see what happened to Harry. There is Harry Neal back in 11th place. So let's just have a look there and see if we can see what happened to Harry. Got a little bump from Jay, ran a little bit wide and out into the grass. A little bit naughty there by Jay, but we didn't see just before that. We saw it just as it happened, so it's hard to comment on that. But we're back with our leaders as they are heading down towards the chicane for the first time. So the 2 Team Sonic cars starting to pull away. Jay Elliott knew he had to get through to 3rd place there and try and close. And it's been a great first lap by Peter Harris and Eric Mignon, moving through from 8th and 10th respectively to 5th and 6th. So that's a great start by them boys. But across the line for the first time, it's Tom Fox who leads from Javier, his teammate. 3rd is Jay Elliott, fighting off the attentions of Toby Nichols. 5th place is always Toby, looks to the inside on the second part of the first corner. They're side by side, but Jay will get the run out of the corner and hold on to the position, but Toby will be looking to fight back. In 5th is Peter Harris after an epic start, putting 2 of the Team Banana cars into the top 5. Oh, Jay's run wide there. That's Jay off the track, and he's gonna almost wipes out his teammate as he rejoins. Cars spreading all over the circuit. I'm not sure there's a lot Jay could do about that rejoin, to be fair. He was just trying to control the car. But we'll just have another look at that, maybe on board. Yeah, on board with Jay. Just clips the curb and just goes straight on and just can't hold it. It ends up in the wall that he found Harry Neal on the first lap. So there we go, back down to about 7th place for Jay Elliott. Oh, and Jay's off again as we rejoin him live. So down to 9th place for Jay Elliott. just looking back through the field, we have George Turner currently in last place. Must have had an incident on the first lap, but George now back going again in the G3 Pro backed car. George, a driver in the Endurance Series for G3 Pro, who we know are a very quick bunch of drivers. Looking back further upfield, there is Tim Maragon learning his way with the controller, almost trying to rally slide it into the final corner, but holding on quite well considering. There is Cameron, who must have lost out big style on that first lap, because he was starting in the top 3 today, but he is down to 10th place with Jay Elliott just in front of him. There is Harry, who we saw in the wall on the opening lap, and he's just behind Eric Mignon, who's moved through. But the start of this race has all been about Peter Harris. Oh, as we've got 2 cars off in the background, that is Alex Wilmot, and I believe it was Ollie Smith, I think. Yes, Ollie Smith off in the background. So we've got cars left, right and centre here. We'll look back and see what happened to Alex there. Was there contact between the 2 cars? No, they've just both... I think Ollie went in deep, but Alex followed him in. It's just got stuck on the back of him and followed him in. Luckily hit the car sideways and managed to stay out of the wall, whereas Ollie had contact with the wall that spun him into the wall as such. And we're back with Alex as he's now fighting Harry Neal down into the chicane. It's going to be close on the brakes. Will Harry stick it round the outside for the second part of the chicane? No, he doesn't, and they are both falling into the claws of Jay Elliott. It's action all the way here, but our leaders are still together. It is Team Sonic leading the way with 15 minutes to go in this race. Tom Fox still leading Javier, and these guys are just slowly pulling away from the rest of the field. 4 seconds clear currently of the rest of the field. And I think, very wide there by Toby in the background, which is going to let Peter Harris close that 2-second gap to him. So we've got a fight on for the lead, and we'll have a fight on for 3rd place as well soon, as Peter Harris, who started down in 8th place on the grid, is holding his own, moving up into 4th place at the moment, and just being consistent in his driving to get up through other people's mistakes. At the moment he's gained about 3 or 4 positions just through people running wide or making mistakes, but that is Peter Harris down to a T. Just consistent and quick enough to move his way through. Won't be outright fastest, but always quick enough to be there and consistent enough. Look back there, Eric Mignon in 5th place. Started in 10th, so he's moved halfway through his field at the moment, and just driving along by himself. There's Peter Harris just ahead, and he's actually in a banana gymkhana sandwich, as Peter Harris is in front and Jay Elliott is behind, as Jay has managed to make his way past Harry Neal and stay ahead of Alex Wilmot in that fight. But there is still a queue behind him, which include Ollie Smith. Does it include Ollie Smith? I hope so. Yes, it does include Ollie Smith. And down and at the back, George Turner has got past Tim Maragon and is starting to close in on Cameron Briggs. So George building his pace up as the race goes on, and maybe even looking at that reverse grid race. Maybe he prefers the GR3 cars. We will find out. But we head back to the front. Still 3 tenths of a second between Tom and Javier. I can see Tom's actually designed his own helmet into the game. So it's certainly a very distinctive helmet. But we will look back now. There is Javier, who is hounding the back of his teammate. But these two won't want to start fighting yet. There's no point fighting until another 5 minutes into the race. They may have a 6.7 second lead over the rest of the field, which keeps growing and growing. These two have got the outright pace to be champions in these cars. But remember, we always switch to the GR3 cars at the next race. So while you've got the Mazda races to win, you still need to be good in the GR3 cars. But normally, if you've got the pace, you've got the talent, and you will be near the front in the races. But Javier, yes, we can just hear him lifting there behind Tom. He's not looking to try and overtake Tom at this stage. He's just sitting behind him and working together to pull this gap out. And I mean, I'm not sure how much of a gap they want. They're 7 seconds clear at the moment, but only 3 tenths between them. They could start fighting now and maybe not be caught, but you know what it's like in racing. Once a battle develops, as Javier just clips a curb there and gets a bit sideways, so might lose a little bit on the exit of this corner. It's a little bit like Mercedes with Hamilton and Rosberg, isn't it? We don't know how these two will fight yet, and anything could still happen because both of them will want to come away from this with a win. But we'll head back further into the pack. There is Toby Nichols sitting there comfortably in 3rd place. He's pulled out a little bit of a gap on Peter Harris there, the Iron Man of Club 100. You won't miss him when he is out on track. And I can see a sticker there, number 69, in memory of Nicky Hayden, the MotoGP champion, on the side of his car. There is Eric Mignon in 5th place with Jay Elliott in 6th. 7th is Ollie Smith. 8th is Harry Neal, this is one of the closest battles on the circuit, with Alex Wilmot all over the back of him, with pink and purple teams fighting hard to see who will be taking that 8th place. And remember, it will work out as a 5th on the grid next time for the round at Monza later today. But these drivers are all close enough to continue with this fight, and we've seen really clean racing between the whole fields over the past 2 seasons, which you can look back on this GT Sport channel on my DW commentary. But we've never really had any controversial moments, and you know, it was a risk by Sam Dimolo, the organiser, to bring in a second lobby, and possibly as Wilmot almost loses it going into the second part of the quadruple left-hander, all still fighting to catch Ollie Smith at the moment. But it was a risk by Sam. You know, the group who used to race in season 1 and 2 all pretty much know each other on track as well, so keep respect there. But bringing a load more people in, it's always a risk, as Ollie Smith runs wide, and that's allowed Harry Neal and Alex Wilmot to close up, and Harry will start having a go at Ollie here, heading down the back straight towards the chicane, and Harry is through up into 7th place. So that was a clean move, a mistake by Ollie Smith opening the door for Harry Neal to make that move, and Alex Wilmot follows him through. So Ollie loses 2 positions in the length of the straight there. I think he may have been getting rid of a penalty by the looks of the ghosting. But yeah, it was always a risk, and so far these guys are proving it to be a pretty clean battle throughout. Heading back to the front, Javier is still there, that 3.5 tenths of a second behind Tom, not fighting, still 8 minutes remaining. The gap is now out to 8 seconds. They've got another second in that time. As you saw Toby in the background, there he is, Toby Nichols, driving sensibly at this moment in time and trying to pull through a strong result to start his season. I mean, at the moment we are seeing this Team Sonic pull away at front, but what we don't know is how much testing they've done compared to the others. We don't know whether this is just a circuit that might just suit them. You know, this Croatian circuit might be just a circuit that suits them, then they go off to Monza and it could be the other way around. We do not know. So they're certainly working together at this stage to pull a biggest gap and set a standard for the season ahead. If you want to catch the rest of the season, please subscribe to the channel every Tuesday night about between 8:30 and 9 o'clock this channel will be streaming this Clubman class with, say, Toby Nichols with the comedy club car racing. The drivers will pretty much be the same throughout the season, with 3 promoted to the top class at the end of this. On week 5 we will also have an O plate. Not 100% sure how it's been decided who's racing in the O plate. It could actually be 2 lobbies again, but we'll see. I think the rumour was top 5 or top 6 from each lobby. Might be that, who knows. Sam Dimolo, our organiser, will sort that out in due course. But we are still looking at the 3rd place man, Toby Nichols, who is driving a very consistent race, but we can see the front runners are still close together, and I keep flicking back to him just in case something happens, but I really can't see it happening until maybe the last couple of laps, when Javier will really push and try and get Tom into a mistake. We heard him lifting on the straight. Maybe he just thinks he hasn't got the pace to pull away from Tom, so we'll just get him near the end of the race. So we'll flip back to them in a couple of minutes time and try and find our closest battle through the field. There's Peter Harris, sitting in a lonely 4th place at the moment, but he'll be a happy man if he comes home in 4th. 5th for Eric Mignon, and Eric has Jay Elliott all over the back of him through the hairpin. Here on lap 9, Jay making up for his mistake earlier in the race when he ran wide through the 4 left-handers near the start of the lap. He's in the slipstream. Will he get a run into the chicane? Eric is half defending at the moment. He's left the door open. Jay has gone for it and he's through, and Jay Elliott has moved up into 5th place. Now can he catch Peter Harris with 5 minutes remaining? There's Peter going through the final corner, his teammate. So it'll be interesting to see how quick Jay can try and close on Peter Harris. But Eric Mignon having another look back. He's in the slipstream. Can he make a move into turn 1? He's looking at it. He's looking at it. He's made it. We've got a crash in the background. We'll go back to that in a minute. And Eric makes a move and moves back into 5th place. A great battle, respectful battle between these. In 7th there is Ollie Smith and Harry Neal side by side still. These two having a very respectful battle as well. In 9th is Cameron Briggs. 10th is Alex Wilmot, who I think we might have found in the wall earlier. We'll just have a quick look back, see if, yes, it was Alex there recovering from a spin into a wall. And there is George Turner. He's hanging on to the back of this pack just about, and is well clear of Tim Maragon, who we know is having his first time out on the pad due to pedal issues. So we'll expect Tim and all the drivers will find more pace as the season goes on. But the G3 Pro team, or the G3 team here supporting George in the orange team, orange arrows. Oh, what looks better, the orange arrows or G3? I think I know what Matt Hale would say, but you know, he might be a little biased. And there's George sliding out of the corner. Obviously been watching lots of Matt Hale on iRacing to understand the sliding of the car. But we'll head back to the front, because here we have the leaders side by side as Javier has tried to make the move with just over 3 minutes to go into turn 1. We will see whether we can pick it up as he goes down. Yes, here he is, straight up the inside. Well, stayed around the outside side. That was Tom looking for a move back, so didn't quite make it through. But now the battle is on between the Team Sonic teammates. Let's see. Oh, and that's an unusual place to go for a move, but Tom's done it and he's through. That's a great little move there by Tom, which we can look back at in a moment's time. But let's see if Javier just has a look back into the hairpin. They've decided a 12-second lead is enough to start fighting, and they're going to go for it in this opening race of the Season 3 GT Sport Club 100 and BUKC Championship. But here goes Javier looking for a move into the chicane this time. He's in the slipstream of Tom. Will he look for it here? He's going for it on the brakes, not quite making it through. Tom late enough on the brakes, But we'll look back there. Here we go. You'll just see Tom Fox lining up behind his teammate Javier and trying to surprise him, I think, into this corner, because it's not really a corner you try and overtake on, but Javier saw him coming and let him through to fight another day. But now the battle is on. Down the pit straight, Tom Fox defends, and Javier is looking around the outside into turn one. He tries to brake later. They're still side by side. Don't take each other off, boys. And Tom continues to hold the lead, but he's having to defend like crazy here for the lead of this race. We have 1 minute 25 to go, which means this is the last lap for these boys. Will they make it round to the finish even if they fight too hard? They've got a big enough lead not to worry about anybody else now. So Tom Fox leads. Javier in second place. And he oh, that's a dodgy place. I thought it wasn't an overtaking place where Tom had a look, but that was going to be risky by Javier as they head down to the hairpin. He's lost a little bit of ground, so he just needs a good run through the hairpin, get the slipstream towards the chicane to see if he can make it through into there. And these guys have a 13-second lead now. They're still pulling away from the field, but Javier looks a bit far back to have a run into the chicane this time, so he's going to have to get a strong run through the chicane and maybe into the final corner or onto the pit straight for the final time. Will the slipstream be enough to get him towards the start finish line and maybe slipstream past Tom? Tom's a little wide. There's a little bit of a wiggle in the middle, but Javier's understeering, and it's going to be Tom Fox who claims victory. Or does he? No, there's going to be another lap. They've got 4 seconds remaining. These two will finish this race with 1 lap ahead of everybody else, because once the timer finishes, that is it. People will be finishing the race. So we will now look back. There is Toby Nichols in 3rd place. 4th place for Peter Harris, who just got caught by Jay Elliott at the end, but didn't affect the team position with 4th and 5th. Eric Mignon in 6th, Ollie Smith in 7th, who got better of Harry Neal. Cameron Briggs in 9th. Alex Wilmot comes home in 10th. George Elliott, isn't he a poet? George Turner coming home in 11th in the G3 car. And there is Tim Maragon coming round. He'll be a bit longer before he gets to the start finish line, but we'll head back to our leaders where Tom Fox is still just holding off his teammate. These two will finish 1st and 2nd now because of the finishing positions of everybody else is already decided, so it is just between these two as they head down to the chicane. Will Javier take a dive? No, he won't. It looks like Tom Fox has got this, but Tom's missed the apex of the first part of the chicane. They're both past Tim Maragon, who has spun out at the chicane, but that has put Javier right on his tail into this final part of the lap. And who is going to come out on top? Javier gets on the power early. He's got the slipstream. Is he going to run a bit too wide? I think Tom Fox is going to have this. This is going to be mega close on the line, but it's going to be victory to Tom Fox. Victory for Tom Fox in the first race of the Clubman GT Sport Championship, just ahead of his teammate Javier by 65 thousandths of a second. What a show these two have put on tonight, and they still have one more race left. So that is a cracking battle we've got in store in the championship. But what a fight, what a respectful fight between the two. But the winner is Tom Fox, who we never doubted his speed in a go-kart, but we never know what it's like on this game. And second goes to Javier to leave Team Sonic with maximum points out the first race of the season, and fastest lap for Tom as well, so full points for his chase for promotion. Wow, that is a cracking opening race for our championship. We are now, I'll be telling them what time the race will be starting for the GR3 race. So there's now going to be a 10-minute break while the drivers get themselves ready for the next race. And I will be putting the practice session on, but I'm just going to take a quick break and take a breath after that cracking start to the season we had here at Dragon Trail Gardens. So stick with us and we will head to Monza for the GR3 race, where anything could happen, including pit stops. The historic Monza Park is playing host to round 2, or race 2, of the Club 100 GT Sport Championship. As you can see, the drivers are out there practicing at the moment, but just to, you know, Monza is a circuit which I don't think anybody hates Monza. I think it's an amazing circuit and it's amazing for some racing. And whilst it has had chicanes added and things like that over the years, the circuit still keeps its natural heritage for speed. And that will be shown tonight as the cars are picked for their GR3 choices. Now, just to run you through what happens in this race, we have a reverse grid of the result last time out, so that means Tim Maragon and George Turner will sit on the front row of the grid, and Team Sonic of Javier and Tom Fox will be at the back. But these drivers will have half an hour with times-free tyre wear to look after as we go along. So it'd be interesting to see who can look after their tyres the best and maybe make it on a non-stop race. That is allowed in the rules, and hopefully I'll be able to keep track of the pit stops unlike last year, as we can see Ollie Smith running very wide there at the Parabolica. So it'll be interesting to see how the drivers get on. Some drivers won't have raced with tyre wear that often on the GT Sport game, but we'll just try and run through what drivers have picked as their cars. The GR3 car is an open pick, and you don't have to pick the same as your teammates. It's whatever car you would like to pick, but you have to stick with it throughout the year. So let's look at, there is Toby Nichols, and he seems to have picked the Nissan. Yeah, it's the Nissan GTR by the looks of it. Looking splendid in gold, actually. Is it gold? Yeah, gold and black. Looking absolutely splendid, that car is. Just ahead of him, on track, is Javier, who has gone for the Aston Martin. So there is two picks by two quick drivers, very differently spaced. Ollie Smith is out there in the Mercedes. We won't miss that Mercedes going round, bright orange. Alex Wilmot has gone for the Peugeot RCZ. A bit of a popular choice when it comes to daily races, but didn't expect to see it so often out in this championship, but that is an interesting pick. Peter Harris, they're crossing the line to go up into 4th place in the BMW. So we've already had, so I don't even know if we've had a mix of cars yet. We've had the Aston Martin, the Nissan, the Peugeot, the BMW and the Mercedes. So what has Eric Mignon picked? He has picked the Aston Martin. So we've got our first double, the Aston Martin, with 2 picks. And he's up into 3rd place here. Harry Neal has also picked the Aston Martin. So with a lovely colour scheme of the Aston Martin badge on the side of the car there. There is Tim Maragon. He's gone for the Aston Martin as well. Teammate to Harry Neal. 9th is Jay Elliott currently, and he has the Corvette. That's the first pick for the Corvette. There is Cameron, no, that's not Cameron Briggs, sorry. There is Cameron Briggs coming across the start finish line here at the historic Monza circuit in the Porsche, and he goes 3rd. So that's the first pick for the Porsche. So we've got such a range of cars being picked here. I don't think there's going to be one dominant car in this field, like 5 or 6 different people picking the one car. As we see a yellow car, I think it's Jay Elliott going off in the background, and there's Cameron Briggs following suit slightly, but up into 3rd place with that lap time. So Cameron feeling a bit more comfortable with Porsche. Was really quick in qualifying in the Mazda, but just the first lap didn't go to plan and struggled to get back up the field from then on. There's George Turner in the pits in the G3 car with the Nissan. Tom Fox has pit. I'm just trying to see what car that is. With Foxy Red. It looks like it could be the Corvette. Looking at that. And Alex Wilmot, we've already seen in the Peugeot, so who have I missed? Let's have a look here. I think I've actually gone through everybody. Yes, I have. I've actually gone through everybody. So the grid is being set by the host due to a driver having to drop out the lobby. So that's why we can see George Turner currently in the pits. We'll give Cameron a bit of coverage as we didn't see much of him in the last race. Cameron Briggs, driver I'm unaware of for Club 100 personally, shall we say, but has joined the Club 100 Experience Novice Championship for 2021, and I'm sure he'll love the Club 100 karts when he gets out into them. We've got a few seconds but till the start of the final, but Cameron also added a little note to his stats of he's a supermarket driver, so if you start punting him you will go hungry. So I wouldn't go anywhere near him if I was you. No point going hungry. But here we go for the 30-minute feature race of the Clubman lobby, the first one we've had. Tim Maragon on the front row with George Turner, Alex Wilmot and Cameron Briggs on the second row. So we just wait until the start lights go out. We can hear the revs rising in the background. Here's the lights, and it's away here at Monza. Great start by front row men, and I think Cameron Briggs got a good start a bit further back. Oh no, it's a terrible start by Cameron Briggs, who's dropped slightly further back. It's been morphed by the team, and straight on goes, that's Tim Maragon, and he's reset in the middle of the pack. Remember, Tim's on a controller tonight for the first time, so having to learn the ways of braking hard for that type of controller. But it's Harry Neal who's jumped up into the lead off row 3, I think, so that's a great start by him, and he has a 7/10 lead. But behind is absolute chaos. We've got Alex Wilmot and Eric Mignon, the two teammates, fighting each other, and then behind that we've got Ollie Smith and George Turner fighting each other, who are teammates. And then behind it is Noah's Ark as the 2x2 continues, with Peter Harris and Jay Elliott in 6th and 7th. So these drivers really starting to get into their mould and know who they can fight. As we see, is that Ollie Smith side by side with Eric Mignon. He goes round the outside into the Ascari chicane, and what a great move that was by Ollie Smith. And will that allow teammate George Turner to get a run here? George looking in the Nissan to get a run on Eric Mignon, but Eric in the Aston Martin is more looking to get that third place back as he looks around the outside of Parabolica. I don't think that's a move that can be done, but it is, and right round the outside Eric Mignon takes back third place on this opening lap. I think we had a car off in the background. I will check back in a minute. Yes, we did. There's Tim Maragon, and yeah, it must have been Tim we saw going straight on at the back of the pack. But it's Harry Neal who leads into the chicane. He has a 2.1 second lead on the opening lap, and will be looking to try and stretch this out as quick as he can. We've got chaos behind because Alex Wilmot's up into third, Ollie Smith in fourth, and Peter Harris has jumped up into fourth place there. So I'm not sure what happened there. We'll try and go on board with Peter as we look forward, and it's just complete chaos in the middle of the pack. I think we got a spinner there, which is Jay Elliott, and all the positions have completely changed in the middle of that. But we see Peter just being passed by Javier into that corner, and he's getting through the pack quite quickly. Here is Javier looking to make amends for losing out to his teammates on the last race, but He is now about 5 places ahead of his teammate Tom Fox, who won the opening race. But we look further back, and Cameron Briggs has let his teammate Toby just go by. He takes a little look into the Sky chicane, but won't affect it this time by. But I feel the Nissan's not the quickest on the straight, so it might be a good run by this Porsche. As I say that, the Nissan of George Turner takes a dive at Peter Harris into the Sky chicane into Parabolica. Excuse me, and he makes it through, and now it's Toby's turn to make a move at Peter Harris, and the two team black cars are teaming up here on Peter Harris and trying to make it through. Will they make it through? Big slipstream here at Monza, remember, as we see the cars go down into braking area, 3 abreast. That's not going to work. Peter Harris backs out of it, and Cameron Briggs is going to drive around the outside of him and take 7th place. A great move by Cameron, just waiting his turn, and now he will start to try and focus in on George Turner ahead. But we have now, he's got 4 cars to fight off just behind, as Peter Harris dives back up the inside into the second chicane. Will space be given? Yes it is, but Cameron holds on to a position, and it's Peter's been passed by Eric Mignon and Tom Fox now, who has moved up into, well, had moved up into 8th place and is now back down into 10th, and 11th for Peter Harris. So it's not good for the Banana team at this moment in time. But back at the front, it's Harry Neal leading by 3.8 seconds. He is disappearing into the distance at this stage of the race. But is he damaging his tyres? That's the question. We don't know how these drivers will need to pit. You know, will they need to pit? It's Monza. It's not the biggest on tyre wear compared to some of the circuits we'll go to later in the season. So will they try and do this on a one stop? Who knows? It depends which tyres they've picked to start the race on. But we'll just have a quick sneaky look and see if we can. Yes, soft tyres for Harry Neal, and in second place it's soft tyres for Alex Wilmot. Just have a quick flip through the field to see if anybody's on any different tyres. No, everybody's on the soft tyres, so there's no tyre difference between these cars. So that's interesting to know, that this is just a performance and a half by Harry Neal early in this race with 24 minutes remaining. Alex Wilmot driving by himself in second place, and Ollie Smith as well in third. But Toby is now being attacked by Javier, who was second in race 1, when we'll be looking to take the championship lead if the results stay as they are. So Toby drops down into 5th place, and we'll probably do well just to follow him at this stage. You know, Javier's come through from the back row of the grid. There's no point over fighting this and trying to lose too much time to the cars in front. But if you have a massive run like he has now, and Javier's defending anyway, there's not a lot you can do. In 6th place is George Turner, who is controlling his pace well after the first race where he fell back to 11th place just ahead of Tim Maragon. George has not fallen back in this race and is sitting sweetly in 6th place ahead of Eric Mignon and Cameron Briggs and Jay Elliott and Tom Fox. As a move by Cameron Briggs up the inside doesn't quite pull it off. Jay Elliott looks around the outside in the Corvette, and it is the Corvette by Tom Fox. I can confirm that now. And it looks like the 2 Corvettes are trying to work together. They're moving past Cameron Briggs now. Will they? Oh, and they're going to go up the inside of Eric Mignon, and Tom Fox is looking up the inside of a lot of them as they go 3 abreast into the braking area. This is not going to work, boys. And they make it through, and the 2 Corvettes move up ahead of Cameron Briggs and Eric Mignon. Oh, a bit of lag there, just causing the 2 cars to collide, but Elliott made it through nicely there. Hopefully I got that on the replay. and these two are still fighting, Mignon and Briggs, into the second chicane, and it's all settled down at that point. But what a move that was by Jay Elliott. He's got a bit of a penalty from that second chicane, but if we go on board with him and look back at that replay, oh, we just missed out on it. But what a move that was by Jay. Started a straight and passed two cars, whipping in between them as they went down to the first chicane. But now he has to fight off Tom Fox, race 1 winner and current championship leader, while trying to get rid of his penalty. Remember, there's new rules this year as well, which I forgot to mention at the very start, that if you pick up a penalty like Jay has here, you have to get rid of it in the race. You can't race till the end with it, and also you're not allowed to overtake somebody with it. So if you've got a penalty, you have to get rid of it before you can pass the next guy. So what I suspect Jay will be trying to do is get rid of it in the braking area, so he's not losing too much time. Won't lose a time position to Tom Fox, but will still continue to close on George Turner. But we'll see how that goes on. As we look, there is Tom Fox going up the inside of Jay as he tries to get rid of some of that penalty, and that was a nice move by Tom Fox. I think Jay knew it was better to just let him go and see if he could follow him. But back at the front, Harry Neal, 3.6 seconds in the lead. He's lost a little bit of that lead to Ollie Smith at this time. Maybe just protecting the tyres a bit. I think that Aston Martin looks absolutely lush, with a couple of deck chairs on the back wing there. Looks like he's going off on a summer holiday. But here is the battle for second place. Ollie Smith holding off Javier at this time, and Toby Nichols. So it's an interesting battle there. You've got Ollie, who was a bit further back in race 1, and the two podium finishers, Javier and Toby, from race, and Javier's looking up the inside into Ascari. That is not going to work. Ollie is defending his line as he can do. As the race goes on, we'll go on board with Toby here now, as he looks to push Javier through past Ollie Smith, and I think he's going to do it and follow him through himself into Parabolica. Ollie gets rid of a penalty by the looks of that, ghosted a little bit there. So up into the podium positions, second and third, just like they were in the opening race, and you can already see Toby is working with Javier, which is unusual because they're not even teammates. But there's definitely some bump drafting there to try and close the gap to Harry Neal. They have a 2.8 second gap to close. That gap is coming down. Harry must have made a mistake on that last lap. Just have a look at his tyres. They're looking okay at the moment, but on lap 6 there must have been a mistake by Harry Neal to facilitate that mistake he made there. There's no way that could have just been pure pace, because those other two were fighting throughout the race, throughout the corners. So a mistake there by Harry, but he's still in the lead by 2.7 seconds, and track position is the most important thing when the race is over. Look further back, Tom Fox has now caught the Peugeot of Alex Wilmot. Tom Fox, Foxy Red Photography, a name known around the Club 100 paddock, is now trying to move through and at the moment limit the damage his teammate is doing to his championship lead, as Tom moves up into 5th place, and Alex just didn't fight that, was just willing to let him go, where he had a bit of a penalty to get rid of as well. And here comes George Turner. George having a great race in the Nissan here, going to the outside as he heads down towards the Parabolica for the 7th time. He's looking for the cutback, I suppose, and he looks for it, blocked off by Alex and won't make it through. And just behind them, closing in, oh, Alex was round wide, and that's let George through into 6th place. So a good bit of pressure there by George Turner, has moved himself up into 6th. There is Jay Elliott trying to close in. He gained a lot from the time that from a bump trap to Tom Fox, but he's lost out considering Tom is now up the road by, as we just see Alex Wilmot run wide into the gravel there, which has allowed Jay through. And now Alex will have his teammate Eric Mignon closing down on him, and Alex getting back up to speed. Eric goes through. Will Peter Harris follow suit, and Cameron Briggs? Doesn't look like it this time by. No. So a hold position. Few penalties out there. There's one for Alex coming up from cut. These seem to get picked up in the chicane, especially the second part of the second chicane. Just a little bit too much of a cut running over the sausage curb just gives you that penalty, and you just, well, Alex is just trying to get rid of it as soon as he can. And there is Cameron Briggs now having a look at trying to get 2 in 1 as he tries to get past Peter Harris, but he can't because he's got that penalty to get rid of into this guy's chicane. And where has Alex Wilmot gone? Alex Wilmot has completely disappeared as we look back at Tim Maragon in 11th place, but Alex Wilmot has disappeared, and I'm not sure he's still in the lobby. So issues there for Alex, but we look back and Harry Neal has only got a lead of 0.8 of a second as Ollie Smith is the first to pit this season. Yeah, Alex Wilmot has left the room, so that's unfortunate for Alex. I don't know if that's an issue or his choice, but that means, but we'll head back to race. But that is the first pit stop with Ollie Smith, who has now come out in 10th place. There he is in Mercedes, feeling the need to pit. So let's have a look at our leader's tyres. Is it worth pitting? I don't know if it is just yet, but Harry has just made a mistake into the second chicane, and now it is fight on, and Javier has taken the lead. A penalty coming up there for Harry Neal. He'll need to get rid of that before he challenges Javier, but he now has Toby Nichols all over the back of him, and it's Javier who leads. Javier Gustini Turner, R4M Silver Arrow in the Aston Martin Vantage, is now leading this race and the championship, as Toby Nichols has followed him through as well, as Harry's trying to get rid of this penalty. A great opening stint of 8 laps by Harry, but just a few too many mistakes off camera has caused the gap to close, and unfortunately he's lost out, but he's still running a strong third in a podium position. But not if he keeps running wide like that. But what Harry needs to do now is slipstream these guys and drop the penalty in braking areas, because he's got a 4.6 second gap back to Tom Fox as Toby Nichols goes for the lead on Javier. He's had enough of pushing him forward for now, and will now go up into the lead into the opening chicane, and nicely done there by Toby Nichols on the brakes, and he is now the leader of the race. But Javier is fighting back. Willie looking up the inside. Now he goes to the outside for the second chicane because Toby has left him no choice at all. And these two are fighting hard for the lead of this race. Oh, massive curb hop by Toby Nichols. But he just holds on to it. But these two pulling away from Harry Neal now. And we'll be looking for, as Javier goes up the inside into the... Oh, that was close. Has he made it through? Yes, it looks like he has, but it's really close running down back straight. Two cars side by side, and Javier is backed off into the slipstream, and it's allowed Harry Neal back into this fight. But all of this fighting is just letting Tom Fox close in all by himself at this moment in time, and people need to watch out for him at the front of this field, because he's not that far behind if they keep fighting. There's Jay Elliott, who's still a penalty to get rid of. 6th for Eric Mignon, who's ghosting for some reason. And that is Cameron Briggs, who's moved up into 6th place. So where has George Turner gone? He's gone into the background, and I think there may have been an issue there with Eric Mignon and George Turner, so we'll have a look back and see if we can see what it was. Yes, but both cars ghosted him and just unghosted, and Eric doing a sensible thing. Both ended up in the gravel, but Eric got out quicker and doing a sensible thing of just letting George back through. I don't think there's any fault there. The ghosting of the cars didn't help either driver, but Eric being a clean driver and letting the guy back through, as Ollie Smith has moved up into 8th place now. But certainly taking advantage of all that was Cameron Briggs, who is now in 6th place in the Porsche, the only driver to pick the Porsche. And a consistent race so far, 14 seconds off the lead with 11 minutes to go. We now see Tim Maragon still in the race, currently just plodding around with his controller. As you can see, the car looking very twitchy. That's due to the controller and not being used to it. But he's doing a great job just to keep going here. Bit of rally style into the first chicane to keep the fans happy and scoring important points for his team at the end of the day. There's Peter Harris currently running round in 10th place, and he has pitted for tyres, so Peter is one who has taken pit stop. And there is Eric Mignon who hasn't. There's Ollie who had, but he's got a penalty to get rid of, so can't pass his teammate. That is crucial for Ollie. He had such a run on his teammate, but he had to back off, and it's allowed Eric back up into 8th place. So from what I am seeing, we've had 2 drivers pit, Ollie Smith and Peter Harris, and they are suffering from this. But Toby Nichols still leads. He's got a 7/10 of a second lead over Javier, with Harry Neal being closed down. This will be the closest battle in a minute, as Tom Fox is closing down in the blue Corvette in the background. The gap is closing corner by corner. The championship leader looking to keep the fight open. And what I've just realised actually in all this is if Tom gets third, the podium should just be reversed from first race, which means we're looking at an exceptionally close championship between the top 3 even after this round. So we have just over 9 minutes to go. A lot of support coming in for Javier, who is now looking to the inside of his sky chicane and can't quite make it through. Trying to keep it clean, trying to keep the gap back to 3rd place there, because the main thing they need to do is not start fighting and allowing Tom Fox into this battle. Especially at this stage. Javier has been here before. He was pushing Tom Fox along last time. But it's a tough decision this time. Does he fight Toby and allow Tom to come into the battle and possibly lose more ground to his teammate in the championship? Or does he work with Toby and keep maximum points between him and his teammate to keep the gap to a minimum, really? Because currently, right now, if it sits how it is, Javier will have more points than Tom just in the championship. So it is an interesting dilemma for Javier to digest. But he's currently now having another look at Toby. Toby goes to defend into the second chicane. That looks like working together there to me. They know Tom is coming. They know Harry isn't far behind either. As we can see, Harry Neal and Tom Fox coming out of that chicane. For back in 5th, there's Jay Elliott all by himself, 8 seconds ahead, 3 seconds behind, just keeping it consistent in the Corvette. The Porsche of Cameron Briggs heading up to the Lesmos, and consistent race by Cameron at this moment in time. Car tyres a bit worn on the rear, but it'll be interesting to see how they cope with the tyre wear, which really will be starting to set in now with 7 minutes left. Close behind, closing in very quickly, is Ollie Smith. Now Ollie pitted, I think he was in 3rd place when he pitted, and whether it was the right choice or not, I don't think he'll get back up into 3rd unless the rest of these pit or fall off a cliff. But we are now watching Ollie Smith from backwards from Cameron Briggs. I think Ollie was trying to make a run there, but actually had a penalty, and that's why you saw him ghosting there. So Ollie will continue to try and get a run. The build speed is building, and I think he's going to have a run into a chicane. We go on board. He's ghosting. I wonder if he's got a penalty of some kind to try and get rid of, because it's not coming up on our screen, but that was very weird. He seemed to ghost and get off the throttle at the same time. As all sideways is Cameron Briggs. And will this give Ollie Smith another run at him into the 2nd chicane? The gap is closing down as they come through the Curva Grande into the 2nd chicane. Will he do him on the brakes? Yes, hard on the brakes, fresher tyres. Will he get it stopped? No! And he lets, and Cameron Briggs just drives around the outside of him and says, not this time, my friend. And this is allowing teammate George Turner to come into the fight in 8th place. There is Eric Mignon. I thought he was on the back of this pack. Has Eric made a mistake somewhere? No, he was just that little bit further back. As you can see, Peter Harris in the background having some lag issues. Peter working hard on trying to sort them, and we didn't see him in the first race or the first half of this race, but it just seems like the connections just dropping down a bit as into the pits. This is our first visible pit stop for Tim Maragon, who comes in now. He may have pitted a couple of times, to be honest. With a controller you can get a bit worse tyre wear, but he comes out of the pits just behind the leaders and might just do his teammate a favour, because he might give Harry Neal a little bit of a slipstream with Tom Fox so close behind. Will there be any team orders here between Tim? I know Tim quite well. He will be fair in his battles, but will he just maybe make it a bit easier for Harry than he does for Tom? But Harry doing a great set of laps on these tyres. I'm not saying his tyre wear's any more or worse, but that's why Tom's not overtaking. He has a penalty. But Harry streaked away at the front at the start and tried to build a gap, and it might have just hurt them tyres a little bit more. But there, Tom has got rid of a penalty, so now he is open to fight Harry for this position. As Tim has actually held up his teammate there. Tim has actually held up his teammate Harry Neal and needs to get out of the way. He does so now, but that has held up his teammates, and Tom Fox is there to pounce. Doesn't quite make it, as he got another penalty to get rid of, but we're not seeing it on the screen. When I say all great run out of the chicane compared to Harry there, and he's pushing him along the straight, I think Tom would do better just trying to get past him here. They have a gap of 6 seconds to the leaders, and if Tom, oh, great cut back there. Harry made a mistake on the curb, and up the inside goes the Corvette of Fox, and it's going to be a drag race across the start finish line. Harry will get quite a good run off the outside line and stays ahead. That Aston Martin has certainly got some straight line pace, and it'll be interesting to see if Tom can outbrake him on the outside of the chicane. Goes to the outside and does so. And was that sensible by Harry just to, you know, give him the room and let him go? Maybe help drag him along towards the leaders. We've got 2.5 minutes to go. Just had in the chat that Kirif is currently leading Lobby 1 by 5 seconds. So Kirif, who was the tyre management master around Monza last year, is doing the same again and looking like he might claim that victory which he missed out on so close to the end of the race last year. I think he was on for first and he was on for a podium and just missed out to Steve Brown at the end. But this is Toby Nichols, another newcomer to the series, who is now in the Sky Chicane for lap 16 and doing a great job of pulling away from Javier now. 2.1 seconds clear. Maybe Javier just struggling with his tyre wear a little bit. Let's just have a look. Yes, there's a lot more tyre wear on the car than Toby has got. So Toby's starting to stretch his legs. 2.7 in the lead. Javier is currently in second place, just holding on, thinking second's probably best now, unless Toby makes a mistake. And third place is our current championship leader, Tom Fox, but still has Harry Neal 9/10 of a second behind, so still ready to pounce. We have a battle for fifth place coming up, with Jay Elliott is going right to a pit wall to try and get rid of a slipstream from Ollie Smith, who's on them fresher tyres after doing a pit stop. And it'll be interesting to see how high Ollie can get. He should be able to get Jay, but they are on to their last lap now, so Jay will be defending like mad. You can see the extra grip that Ollie has got out of the first chicane, and we'll see if he can take a dive into this second chicane, or will Jay defend. Jay defends. Smith goes to the outside, doesn't quite make it through. Oh, it's going to be a cutback there. Will he get it into the Lesmos? No, he won't. Oh, harshly defended by Jay, but fairly. Looking further back, we've got George Turner and Cameron Briggs having a battle over 7th place, with Peter Harris in 9th, Eric Mignon in 10th, and Tim still in 11th. But we're heading down the back straight for the final time, and it's Toby Nichols who looks like he's going to claim his first GT Sport victory in this championship on his debut in the GR3 cars. Comes around the final corner and weaves across the track. Don't celebrate till you get there, Toby, but it's victory for Toby Nichols in the Nissan here at Monza. Second goes to Javier, who worked with Toby throughout the race to try and get up through the field, and then just lost out in the final battle. Third goes to Tom Fox, who won race 1. Fourth for Harry Neal, a great result after mixed feelings about race 1, but certainly a great result there. Ollie Smith just get past Jay Elliott for 6th. Just see if that was on the line. No, it was throughout the final lap. Jay comes home in 6th place. George Turner in 7th, getting better of Cameron Briggs. But your winner today is Toby Nichols in the first feature race of the Clubman series, up 9 positions. So that was a cracking race. Not as many pit stops as we may have expected. Let's just have a look here. Race results. So we expected a few more pit stops maybe, but certainly I think Tim Maragon in 11th pitted a couple of times maybe, but he was getting used to the controller. Mignon pitted, Peter Harris pitted, so that was 9th and 10th. And the only person who really made it work was Ollie Smith, but the gaps were too big. He pitted with half the race to go from 3rd place, got back up into 5th. But would he have caught Tom or Harry? Possibly not. There wasn't enough pace there. The pace difference was there, but the time in a half an hour race wasn't enough, especially around Monza. So it was victory for Toby Nichols, 2nd for Javier, 3rd for Tom Fox, Harry Neal, Ollie Smith, 6th for Jay Elliott, 7th for George Turner, Cameron Briggs in 8th. I think strong drive by a lot of the debutants today, especially Cameron. qualifying third in the first race. Peter Harris in 9th, Mignon in 10th, and Tim Maragon in 11th. 12th was Alex Wilmot, who left the lobby early on. As you can see at the bottom, fastest lap goes to Tom Fox, so that's some extra points for Mr. Fox. And I suspect he's probably leading the championship by a few points, but not too many, as the podium in race 2 was just a podium of race 1 reversed. So how was that for our first Club 100 Clubman GT Sport Championship race? I think it was a great night. Just trying to find out the next lobby for us all. We had Monza at the end of last season. There's some great races racing there. I hear lobby 1 was brilliant, so that was great to hear as well. So once I cut off this, I suggest heading to the Double Dash Motorsport media page and watching lobby 1 for the premier class of this championship. Head over there, watch that. You'll see people like Super GT in there, reigning champion Ryan Sandell, and reigning O-Plate champion Nathan Maximin. They certainly put on a show last year, and I suspect they probably will this year. I'll be heading off to do that in a minute myself. But next week we have Blue Moon Oval for the Mazdas, and the GR3 race will be around Red Bull Ring. 2 great circuits, hoping to produce some more great racing. Now, I mentioned earlier when Mr. Hicks replied, I suggest if you have iRacing to head to the Club 100 iRacing Facebook page and join us in some racing on the simulator iRacing. I think it's the end of the month round Laguna Seca with the Mazda, the MX-5 on iRacing. Great little championship that Steve Hicks had put together. I know it's been mentioned on Andrew Maffa's stream on Lobby 1. I first joined it and I found it tough, but it's always going to be tough at first. There's some people who are a lot more experienced on iRacing than that, so you can come, even if you don't decide to join it, head over to Double Dash Media, click subscribe and get the notifications bell on, and you will be able to see me make a fool of myself behind the driving seat in 2 weeks time, possibly 2 weeks time, maybe 3. Obviously the notification bell will tell you, but the thing to do is set your notification bell on this channel, DW Commentary, and you will be able to watch the coverage of the Clubman Championship next Tuesday night at 8:45 for those 2 races at Blue Moon and Red Bull Ring. Will Tom Fox be able to defend his championship lead? Will Javier be able to get better than 2 second places and look to take the challenge to his teammate? Or will we have a new winner? Harry Neal, George Turner, or maybe even we might see Jay Elliott not throw it off the track. I can say that because I know Jay very well, but you will have to tune in next week to see what happens and to see who will be boosting their championship chances of qualifying for the top 3 and a promotion to the Premier League. I've been David Whitehouse. Hopefully you've enjoyed the commentary. Please leave your comments. I will read them all back, and I will see you next week for week 2 of the Clubman class in the GT Sport Club 100 BUKC Championship. Good night.